Good morning, everyone. This is Seth Lewis, your state representative. Thank you very much for joining the employment webinar we're putting on today. As many of you may know, jobs are very important to me. I believe that having someone being able to work, to be employed is very beneficial in life. And I am honored today to put on this webinar to those in my district and even those visiting who may be out of my district. As your representative, I do represent the communities of Bartlett, Hanover Park, Carroll Stream, Itasca, Bloomingdale, Addison, Wooddale, and Roselle, and a little bit of West Chicago. Can't forget West Chicago. But it's an honor for me to be here today. Thank you for all of those of you who are attending. Again, my name is Seth Lewis, and I am your state representative. And if I just may ask for some clarification from those behind the scenes, do we have all our attendees, or do we need to wait a few minutes before we introduce our first speaker?
You may proceed. We're good to go.
Okay. So let me read the biography of this wonderful person that we're going to hear from. Leading us off today is Jim Fergal. Jim Fergal is the manager of the Job Search and Veteran Services of WorkNet DuPage Career Center in Lisle. He has 20 plus years of experience in the employment field. A former U.S. Army officer, Jim has worked at the Illinois Department of Employment of Security as a personal recruiter and held the positions of Veterans Counselor, Career Assessment Counselor, and Employment Trainer. He has trained over 10,000 people in the career exploration and job search techniques during his tenure. Mr. Fergal has been a speaker at the National Career Development Association and University of Wisconsin-Madison career conferences, plus as a featured speaker at local job clubs and county events. Please welcome Jim Fergal to this webinar. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Representative Lewis. And let us begin. I appreciate and I'm honored to be here today. I love helping job seekers. I've been through this several times myself, especially getting out of the Army. I call myself nomadic because I've had several different careers and layoffs and things like that. So this is my passion, is to help people in the job search mode. I've been asked to present on virtual and video interviews, and worknetdupage.org is our website. We'll talk about that later. We are a job training organization. Just go there and look at our Get Started page. Topics I'm going to discuss today are the different types of interviews. We have both virtual and video interviews. We'll be setting up a work area that you can conduct these interviews in, how to prepare, and then we will look at the nature and the conduct of that interview and how to prepare for that. The first type of interview I want to talk about is the video recorded. This has been in the process for many years, and I've two of the main websites that I've seen for this are HireVue and Sparkhir. If you apply at a company, usually they will send you a link. Let's just say HireVue for right now. HireVue has tutorials that you can view on how to set up your computer to make sure there's no glitches. A couple of questions so you can test yourself while you're answering. It's really good. We've used this in the early stages of the process. I usually apply, and I guess it depends on the company where they do this. My experience with my sons anyway has been usually after the application, they talk a little bit with HR, They get a website to go to. There's a video recording, and they record answers to some questions. It could be job related, it could be behavioral, things like that. This does take place remotely, which we pretty much are comfortable with now, most of us. You could do this at home. You could do it at a outdoor cafe, pretty much anywhere, but I would recommend a nice quiet area where you can talk without any disruptions. The questions are asked, and you as the job seeker, you're able to record your responses, and the answers can be anywhere from 90 seconds to 3 minutes. Sometimes these videos are included with different assessments as well. But you get to check your answer and play it back. Sometimes you get 2 or 3 times before you have to record it. The virtual interview, Skype, Zoom, Uberconference are a couple of the platforms. And really, this was starting to take off before COVID and has definitely taken off after COVID. It allows, and what's nice is if people can't be in one place, it allows everyone, both the employers and the candidates, to meet live. I just went through a round of these myself. I didn't know how it was going to go. And it worked fairly well. It just, when we prepare, you need to be prepared for this and test your internet connection. It's going to use your video. You can do instant messaging. There's different web-based services. I really like that you can see a lot of people at once while you're in the interview. And it allows you to make a lasting impression because first impressions are important. My younger son was actually interviewing for a job out in, the headquarters was out in San Diego. He's going to fly out there, and then COVID hit. So the whole process took place on Skype. The video interviews, the hiring, the onboarding, the training, everything was done on Skype. And it was only within the last month that he actually met his boss in person for the first time. So it's kind of interesting with this remote era. But you have to get comfortable with this. This is the way of the world right now, and probably will be in the future. The setting is important. You don't want any clutter on your desk or behind you. I'm in my office right now. You want a clean, organized background. You want a quiet room. I've shut my door. But really, if you're doing it in your house, you don't want any distractions. That means the spouse, the kids, the pets. Turn your phone off, the TV, music, radio. Believe it or not, the TV will come in louder than you. If you've ever talked with anyone on the phone, or you've heard a voicemail message where someone had the music in the background, for some reason the music comes in louder. I really encourage you, it's going to be remote today, but if I have my wife schedules a cleaning crew or something, it's better just to be out of the house, someplace I can concentrate and have quiet. It's the same thing for you. Pets are a little tougher because you may have barking dogs. Cats love to walk in front of the camera, so just put them on the side. And I think we've all seen the video of that guy giving a news interview and the kids come running into the room. You want some good lighting. Natural is better, but you do what you can. But you want some light shining on you. A couple interview tips here. First and most important, you got to know who you are and be able to tell your story. And I don't mean going back to the time you were born, but really, you have to be able to talk about your career path, different types of jobs, and most important is how you helped make money or save money for an employer. Uh, Really, it's all about solving problems and making money. So I'm going to give you a format for storytelling for behavioral interview answers. Know the interviewer. Uh, I can't believe the amount of people who come into an interview having no clue what we do at WorkNet2 page. Uh, there's a website you can view. You can go to LinkedIn now. You can research the company. You can go to the company page now. Look on there and see who the primary company officers are. You can look them up on LinkedIn. You can even see if you have direct connections to them or even the interviewer. Tie yourself to the position. And what I'm talking about here is thoroughly read the job description, what they want. There's so many times that I've read resumes that could be, I'm currently reading 1 to 5 pages long. And I look at the job description that the person applied for, and I can't find anywhere on there that this person meets the requirements. The days of submitting just one resume to a company is over with because of things like applicant tracking systems and whatever else. But you have to tailor that resume to the position. And then when you're in the interview, tie yourself to the position by highlighting the skills or the tools they want you to possess to be successful in that job. And then the other thing is, while you're doing your research, is look for companies that match you. During my 7 layoffs, there's a lot of times I just wanted a job. I know that. And I've gotten into some bad jobs because I just wanted a job. But here's another way to tie yourself to the position. In each of those positions that I held, the good, the bad, the ugly, I've always learned something. And that's what I talk about. And I just was mentioning this the other day. All jobs are temporary, and all jobs are training grounds for something in the future. And so what I'm doing today is a culmination of my career and life experiences that I'm using. And it's the same for all of you. You never lose those skills. They may become a little rusty, but you have the ability to use those skills. And that's what you want to talk about. So tying yourself to the position is applying your skills and tools to the position, or what have you learned about yourself or what the company learned about the experience. So let's look like preparations. Reread the job description. I would read it several times. I like taking a highlighter or one of these multicolored Bic pens, and I highlight things on the computer or on paper. What are the technical skills? What are the job skills? What are the interpersonal skills? What do they want you to do? What's the role? Okay. Are you going to be supervising people? Are you going to be troubleshooting systems? Okay. And then, you can even make a chart for this, is what do they require? What do they want? The requirements and the preferred, and then match your skills and your experiences to those job description requirements. Then write out your stories about the skills and accomplishments. The storytelling format is, I like to use the word sparks. The setting. A lot of people, when I do practice interviews or even interviews themselves, go right into we had this customer or we had this problem, but they don't tell me what position they had during it, okay, what the company was, and what the customer was, if they can talk about the customer. The problem, okay, what was the problem with the customer? What was the problem internally with the company? What actions did you take to resolve this problem? Results, how do you quantify, dollars, numbers, percentages, and then to be able to tie it in. I use a foam board. I'll show you an example of what I have on a foam board. They're sturdier than just a poster board. You have your resume, your job description, company information, highlighted skills, and then accomplishments about the skills, how you've used them, and also accomplishments, so stories about them. So let's go through here. I'm sorry. Oops. Here we are. So the hard thing, and I'm even trying to do it myself, is it's hard not to look at the screen or anything else, to look at the camera. It's hard. So sometimes you put a Post-it note here. Know that you have someone on the other end if you can't see them. You put a picture. And then starting over here on the lower left-hand side is company information. You might cut and paste information about the company, who the players are, revenue, what the company market is, any information you have about the company. Over in the top left is you have your resume. I like to highlight points on my resume I want to reinforce, but I'm not limited to my resume either. There may be things I want to talk about that aren't on the resume. We take a job description, okay, you can put that up here. And then what I do is I can put a highlighted job description. I just showed you how to underline here, okay. And you can use different colors for knowledge. If they want you, if there's certain required knowledge that you must have, maybe a bachelor's is required, or maybe a bachelor's is preferred, but high school is required. It all depends. And then the job skills, languages such as Python or Java, or maybe bilingual, English, Spanish, okay? And then interpersonal skills, anything that would be from communication, both verbal and written, as well as time management or problem solving. In the upper right-hand corner, I highlight technical skills and soft skills. I pull them out of the job description because that can get busy. And so I can just go down here and say, okay, this is the type of technical skills they want. And then I have some, you can use 3x5 cards or 5x7 cards, depends how big the poster board is. You can have them spread on your desk or whatever, but you have examples, your stories about problems you've resolved using the skills and be able to come up with accomplishments, statements, which are results, okay? People like to hear, and really this is why you're being interviewed. The employer has a problem that needs to be solved and they want to be making money, okay? So when you look at your work history and you're putting together your resume and for the interview, what problems have you solved and how did you make money or save money? And you should have these stories ready. One of the job seekers was telling me he wrote out all his stories and kept them on his desk while he was doing a telephone interview at the time so that he could quickly have them there. And it's okay to have them written out. Even the best telemarketers have a script because sometimes we get brain cramps and forget things. So have them there. Check your equipment and connection. Batteries, make sure you're, like here at the office, I have a special plug-in to our internet. Make sure your headset, microphones are working, your Wi-Fi. Make sure your webcam is working, and do a trial run with a friend. Words, tone of voice, body language, and attire. All these affect each other. And if you look at studies on body language, words account for something like 7% of influence in communication, tone of voice around 38%, and body language like 55% of communication. So that means that over half of communication is body language. So you can use your hands a little, but sitting up straight in the chair is important. And, also your dress professionally. And, wear clean clothes and dress completely. I remember telling my older son when he first had one of these video interviews is dress completely. But he just wore the suit and the tie, the suit jacket and the tie and the shirt and gym shorts, kind of like some of these reporters that have been caught that way. But see, everything affects how you present. How you dress affects your mental state. So that's why I say dress nicely for the interview, which then affects your body language. When you're depressed, your head is pointed down, which then affects your tone of voice. It becomes monotone. Your shoulders are slumped. You don't use your hands and arm movements very much. And you're walking like Charlie Brown with a cloud over his head. When you're feeling confident, your head is up, your shoulders back. You have a tendency to use hand and arm movements. Your tone of voice has more inflection. And then you choose words that are positive. Okay. So all of these are important for you. You just, I've heard of people, mainly younger people will take a interview in a car while they're driving or anything like that. Really, the interviews don't always come when you want them, when you're ready. And it's kind of impossible to do justice to a phone interview or even a video interview when you're in the middle of traffic. I mean, think of a downpour, rush hour traffic, and you're trying to concentrate on an answer, and you're, rear end somebody. Worst case is pull over to the side and say, I'm in the middle of traffic. Can we conduct this when I get home in a half hour? Can I call you? It's okay, because you're not ready. Your resume is not available. The job that you applied for, you don't have any information about it. And they say the person who places the phone call has the power. You're on the receiving end. You're trying to figure out, why did I apply to this employer? Who are they? Especially if you applied to, 100, 200. So you want a nice, calm setting for you so that you can sit relaxed, confident, and project a positive, strong image through the camera to the people on the other end. So let's talk about the beginning of the interview. Now, I had a job seeker call me and say, I'm interviewing with Caterpillar, and they gave me 30 seconds. I have 30 seconds to record an answer of why do I want to work for Caterpillar. Well, this is also called your elevator speech. So let's go through this. I'll give you an example. Let's just say it's a trainer type of position. Hello, my name's Jim Fergal. I'm really excited about this opportunity as a trainer with Caterpillar because I'm able to use my top skills of presenting to diverse audiences, creating content, doing instructional design, and presenting. I can use my top skills, okay, as being creative, instructional design, to help Caterpillar streamline processes and teach implementing new machinery to increase production or increase efficiency. Okay, now that's off the top of my head, but I would have this written out. So write this out so you have it and say it several times, okay? Now you have an example ready. Now this is where problem, action, result comes in, okay? But you want to start off again with the setting. So let's just say they ask you, have you ever initiated a project or any type of action at work? Well, I'd like to tell you about my time as the workshop team leader for the Career One Stop Center, where we put together a catalog of workshops for the 4 partner agencies. So the Career One Stop Center, we had 4 agencies. We had the Illinois Department of Employment Security, or the Unemployment Office. We had College DuPage, and we had Parents Alliance, which works with teens and adults with disabilities, and us, WorkNet, with job training. All of us were conducting workshops in the center, but the staff didn't know what they were about. And when job seekers would say, well, what's this class about that I see? So I had stumbled upon a college catalog, and I said, you know, why don't we have a catalog here? We're doing a lot of workshops among the partners. So I went to my director and she said, well, take it to the workshop team. I presented my idea to the workshop team. They bought in, and then we made a draft copy of the catalog. Each workshop would have a title, a brief paragraph talking about what the workshop was about, and then 3 learning points so that we were consistent. We presented this to the 4 directors of the agencies who loved it. And we also presented it to the Workforce Investment Board at the time, who wanted copies of this. The catalog, the final copy, is we produced over 1,000 copies of this catalog, which identified over 65 workshops for career exploration, job search, interpersonal skills, computer fundamental type of skills, communication, looking for researching classes in college, or maybe using the unemployment office's skill match for looking for jobs. Here are the skills that I used in this experience that I believe will help me be successful with your company. I had an idea. I presented it to my director. I was able to present the idea in a logical fashion to the team, and we were able to crank out this catalog within 3 months. Here are questions you need to be able to answer. Tell me about yourself. We just talked about that. Your greatest strength are top skills. Hopefully they're part of the job. Why did you leave your last position? I wouldn't freak out over any of this, that you've been laid off due to COVID. Thousands have been, tens of thousands have been laid off. Why is there a gap between jobs? It happens. It's the stigma of the 60s or 70s is no longer there. Companies come and go, companies grow, companies shrink, people get laid off. Some of you have done childcare, some of you have done elder care for your parents. maybe your spouse. I don't know. My belief is never let an employer talk down to you because you took time off to take care of loved ones. What's your greatest weakness? Uh, it's not chocolate, it's not kryptonite. It's something from the past that you've continually worked on. Maybe making schedules, I have a hard time making schedules. Just trying to balance all the different positions that people have to be at, 2 different front desks, resource room, and teaching. And so what I've learned to do is to close my door and strategize, lay out the map, the outline for what has to be done every day for the month, and then plug in people's names. And I have contingency plans to back that up in case someone gets sick. And I continually do this even to this day. So it's something from the past, show how you're working on it and how you continue to work on it. What are your salary requirements? Well, they can't ask you history, but they can ask you what salary requirements are. And, do some research out there. There's a lot of websites out there that you can find. I would say go to 4 or 5 different websites, check it out, and come up with an average for yourself. Never give your minimum. Okay. We cover these in workshops here. So again, using your stories, identify a skill, use an example, a story, how you use that skill, and always conclude with what was the benefit to the employer. And the same with accomplishment. Tell me about a significant accomplishment or project you worked on, your story, problem, action, results, and the tie-in is the benefit to the employer. And on a positive note, summarize. I would say you have at least 4 selling points. I'm really interested in this position because I could do this, 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 and this. And you can thank them for their time, ask what the next steps are in the process, and you can email a thank you to the interviewers. That concludes my portion of the presentation. Do you want me to answer questions now, or do you want me to hold off?
This is a good time to ask any questions.
Okay.
If the participants have any questions, they can type them in the bottom portion of the screen. There's a Q&A icon. And if you want to just type your question in there, Mr. Fergal can answer it for you.
You may have to help me with the questions. I don't see any right now.
Currently, we don't have any questions typed in.
Okay. That's good. I am going to sign off and turn it over to Representative Lewis. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim, and appreciate all of that wonderful information. Hopefully the participants found it as valuable as well. Your wealth of knowledge and experience is greatly appreciated, and thank you for participating in today's event. Up next, we have another great speaker. I'm pulling up her bio here real quickly. Please let me introduce Jennifer Wegman. Jennifer specializes in coaching job seekers and career changers of all ages using creative problem-solving techniques. Jennifer received her Master of Arts degree from DePaul University at the School for New Learning with a focus on coaching and leading groups. Jennifer was a career consultant with a global talent mobility company for 5 years, served as social media coordinator for assisting in outreach and business development and market communications. She now works as the workshop facilitator and career counselor for a federal workforce development program. Her background includes working with a large network of executive leaders in corporate, government, not-for-profit, and entrepreneurial organizations for over 25 years. Please, a warm welcome for Jennifer Wegman. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, Representative Lewis, and thank your team for putting this all together. I appreciate being able to share this information. And as Jim said, we really enjoy helping job seekers. So I want to, encourage everybody. We're going to talk about, I hope everybody can see my screen. We're going to encourage everybody to, take a minute after the presentations. We do have copies of the presentations available on a landing page, and I will present that link for you. What I'd like to do is just do a high-level overview, and I would encourage you, if you are looking to have a successful job search, is to connect with WorkNet2Page, and at that link that I'll provide, where you can also download the presentations, you can also complete a short survey, and you'll receive information about WorkNet2Page, the services we offer. There's training available if you qualify, and a lot of upcoming events that might be of help to you. So I do want to talk about resumes, and then after that, I'll be talking about how to stay away from job scams, which are really prevalent right now. So I hope you can stay and listen to that, because it's important information, and there's more in the presentation that you can download as well. So I want to welcome everybody. Thank you for coming today. If you do have questions, you can go ahead and type it in the chat. You can put a question mark or just the word question, and then we'll know that you have a question versus a comment. And, we always encourage people to just have a courteous, attitude when they're on these public events. So we want to create a positive environment. And like Jim said, we offer workshops on many of these titles that can really go into more of a deeper dive. But today we're going to talk about, what is important in your resume and how that factors into the job search. We see a lot of people that blast out a bunch of resumes and they're not getting any interviews, and then they get discouraged, they feel rejected. And so what you want to be able to do is just make sure that your resume is set up for success. And you also want to understand how these applicant tracking systems work. So we'll talk about that. They are very important now. And if you haven't been in job search for quite some time, the principles of job search really haven't changed, but some of these systems have started to be, they weed people out. That's the whole purpose of the job search for the employer. They want to weed out the people that really don't qualify, that maybe don't match up with the skills they want. And you want to be that candidate that gets called for an interview and gets a job offer. That's your goal. We'll also talk about the format and the keywords that you want to make sure that you're using in the resume to match up with the job description and what they're looking for. And then you also want to understand there are tools and things that you can do on the back end to make sure that your resume works better in these ATS systems. And we'll lastly talk about just what is a friendly resume format, what are the things you want to avoid and make sure you're doing so that you can get through to a human. That's the problem, is sometimes your resume may never reach a human, and you want to make sure that you do. So what is the purpose of the resume? Well, you want to be intriguing enough to get the interview, and then after the interview, they're going to review possibly top candidates. They want to go back and look at resumes, and if yours is, doing the job, they're going to say, wow, this is the top candidate. After talking with them, you can solve problems. We heard your accomplishments, let's get this person on our team. That's the goal of the resume. So you want to talk, to recruiters, you want to talk to HR contacts, you want to do your research. But if you're getting lots of calls for interviews, that's good. That means your resume is working. So if it's not working, it might need adjustments, but be open to ideas. We get a lot of people that might get some outplacement assistance and they get one version of their resume. Sometimes they can't even make changes to it. So I don't know how helpful that is. But what you want to be able to do is make adjustments, and you want to tailor it, as Jim said in his presentation, tie yourself to the position. We see a lot of people, they don't bother to take the time to even just tailor the resume to the job description. It might be a fantastic job, perfect for them, but the employer's not a mind reader. They're not going to see what you might know in your head. You can't assume that anybody's going to spend more than 10 or 12 seconds maybe on the resume. And if they don't see what they're looking for, next. You know, it's a brutal game, but this is the thing, it is a game. So we want you to win. And it really starts with self-assessment, and then you can tailor your resume to your next career goal. Sometimes people find themselves in between in a transition and they decide they're going to go in a different direction. That's great. But you want to assess, you want to do some career exploration perhaps, and we can help. That's what we help clients do all the time. What are your transferable skills, your functional skills? You know, you want to make sure that those are highlighted. Technical skills, you know, if you're missing and have gaps of technical skills that you need to be able to get that next job, that's what we're here for as well. Then hopefully the resume, like we were saying, is going to get you the interview. And once you get the interview, the ultimate goal obviously is to get the job offer. That's your whole reason for doing this game. But let's go back up. If you're not getting job offers, but you're getting interviews, then you know, possibly something's going on in the interview. You want to make sure that you're polishing, you know, your responses, making sure that you're doing practice interviews before you go out. We also offer that service as well. And if you're not getting interviews, then again, you got to look at your resume. What's going on with the resume? Is it matching up with the typical job description that you're identifying as the path that you want to go down? So again, it could just be some formatting things. We'll talk about all of this in the coming half hour or so. So like Jim also said, you know, you have to write the resume to help the candidate, help be the best candidate to the employer, because it's not about you, it's about what can you do for them. And while obviously there's lots going on in workforce right now, as far as, you know, people having all kinds of ideas about what they'd like to do, you know, you have to show your past work and your accomplishments in a way, usually using dollars, numbers, percents. And for some people that may be challenging because they don't know what the numbers are. But we, again, we help people investigate, you know, how many people did you talk to when you were doing a front-facing role, let's say at a hospitality job or a retail job. You know, you don't realize sometimes that's heavy customer contact, which is a highly in-demand skill. So you really have to start breaking down the numbers. And that's where, you know, you're going to be able to stand out, because most people do not do that. I've even seen financial services people, accountants, and they have no numbers on their resume. Guess what? Next, they're going to move on. You have to break things down and give them, because I will also stop on numbers and dollars, and people don't realize that. But as you scan things, people hear, and they also stop in a written communication. They will stop on dollars and numbers and percents. So how do these applicant tracking systems work? Well, a lot of them are now embedded in, I would say, about 80–90% of all the large corporations. And what you want to do is make sure that you understand how they work. At last count, I think we have a website that we follow, and there's over 500 different ATS, applicant tracking systems. Now, this started back before the last recession, the Great Recession, which there was nothing great about it. But in 2008, 9, 10, you know, they had laid off a lot of people. People were applying for jobs. They didn't have a way to keep up with all of that. So what they tried to do was, you know, minimize the number of labor hours that they would have to go over all these hundreds and maybe thousands of resumes for just one job. So they started rolling out some of these ATS systems. The companies started buying them, thinking, oh, we're going to save a lot of money and time. But some of the older systems are a little more inflexible. And then some of the newer systems are more flexible and a little more manageable. But there's a wide variety, and you don't know which system you're dealing with when you apply to any given job. So that's why the keywords, the context, the format is really important. And you just, as long as you know about this, that will help you go forward. So when you're trying to apply to jobs, you know, people say, wow, I applied and I heard nothing, you know, well, this is because, again, it's a weeding out process. They want to focus on the top ranked resumes that get in the system. So if you apply for a position, but you're not matching a certain percentage of the keywords, then your resume probably is not going to be printed out or even read by anybody in the HR department or by the hiring manager. So what you want to do is make sure that you're, again, reading that job description. And then hopefully once you rank a little higher because you're matching up with what they're looking for, then, you know, you're going to have a better chance of having somebody read your resume. So for example, you know, these ATS systems like Google, Microsoft, they receive 2 million resumes per year. There's no HR company or no HR department in any company that could do justice to reading all of those resumes. They're not going to do it. And just one typo might knock you out. So again, you have to proofread. But this is a filtering system. You really have to try to get through to the humans. Now, the way that this works, and this is why we always encourage you to talk to people, because people hire people. You know, you're talking to a computer at this point and you're not having much of a conversation. And as Jim described, there's a lot of interview process, especially the screening interviews where you're not even talking to people. So you got to get around these ATS systems, and that's what we're trying to do. It's kind of like a screen door where, you know, you're trying to get stuff loaded in your house, and, you know, some fly always comes in, and you want to be that fly trying to get around the door. But what you want to do is talk to people at the organization, and possibly if you are known inside the corporation or the organization, you're going to have a better chance of somebody going to the ATS and pulling your resume up. Even if you didn't jump through the hoop there with the right numbers or percentages, they will find you in the ATS system, and then some human will look at your resume. So that's very valuable advice. I hope you take advantage of that, because 70 to 80% of all the people hired know somebody inside an organization. So for a lot of our job seekers, they come to us, they're discouraged. They say, wow, you know, I'm not getting any results. I'm not even getting interviews. Well, again, you got to start playing the game, and you have to look at your resume, look at what you're doing, and then, you know, try to flip the script, try to change some things up, be open to change, and try to talk to people on the inside, because that's the way you're going to help yourself. If you're only applying online, that's a very reactive, passive job search, and it's going to take forever. So, you know, even with all the people that want to hire now, all the companies that want to hire now, you're still maybe not going to get through the system. So what's important about the format and the keywords? So as you can see, we've got a lot of different systems, and you can be overwhelmed trying to see, well, how am I, going to match up with this one system that I'm applying to today? So let's give you some examples. So Taleo is one of the large applicant tracking systems. This is from the employer's point of view. And they have a lot of different things that they're doing on this. They use it for passive recruiting. So maybe they already had posted this position, somebody didn't work out. They are looking back and seeing what resumes were already submitted to the company in the ATS. So they can screen before they do spend a lot of money on, let's say, some new job ads. So there's questions that might be asked in the application process. Maybe they're ranking things, you know, based on the technology that they've got in that system. Again, there's so many different systems, but they also could have keywords that are listed, and you never know what keywords they're going to use, but typically you're pretty safe in assuming that anything in the job description could be a potential keyword or key phrase. So again, you have to read the job description. So what they're doing is they're also using it for video interviewing, and they're also potentially posing psychometric, you know, assessments. So if you don't pass the assessment, you're not going to go forward in the process. So there's a lot of things that these systems will do, and they're all a little different. So you want to be conservative. That's what we always recommend. And so, for example, let's say, you know, you're looking for a sales position. What are they going to do on the inside? They're going to look at the word sales, and perhaps this is how it's highlighted on a resume. So somebody over on the right-hand side, they might have the ranking of the person, the couple of people that might rank the highest. So they'll probably call and, you know, recommend an interview with their internal staff. So again, you know, there's a lot of information that these systems are storing, but again, you want to sometimes be able to go around those systems so that you can talk to people. So here's another example. They might use, if they're a more advanced, newer system, they might have word stems that are a little more flexible. Sometimes, you know, the older systems, if you type in the word manager, it will not find managing or management, which are stems of the same word. So you want to have the system hopefully find these variations or these combination of words. So again, there's a lot more to it in the background that you don't probably realize, but that's why we want to show you this. And we do go into a deep dive on this with our exclusive client portal, where we have recorded videos, and we also have live workshops where you can ask questions. So why are the keywords important? Oh, I'm sorry, I went too fast. So you also, they can look at your social media profiles too. They can go directly, so you really want to lock down those profiles and make sure that your brand and your presence is coming across how you want it to. They can also search out, you know, maybe old employees and look at their second and third level contacts. Maybe there's some colleagues that they could, you know, recruit. I mean, when they're trying to place people, they will, you know, they will be very creative to try to find those people. So more about the keywords. So why are they important? Well, you know, those are the words that the employer is putting into that search inside the ATS system. And you need to know what those industry terms are, those top skills. You should really have a list of your top 10 skills, whether they're technical skills, soft skills, interpersonal skills, transferable skills, functional skills that are used in any job. Like I was mentioning, customer service, teamwork, you know, all of those communication skills. These are things that you really have to have at the, you know, the tip of your tongue and be able to speak about and have those accomplishment statements in your resume, which help you prepare for those interviews so that you can tell those stories using that formula that Jim talked about, PAR or SPART. And once you have those formulas and you can write out those stories, you're very much more confident and prepared when you're going into those interviews. So where do you find these keywords? Well, there are some tools that I'll tell you about quickly, and also there are some, you know, ways that you can showcase. And sometimes it's better to list, you know, and sometimes it's better to show what you're doing and how you can work with them. So these are the types of things that the recruiters and the HR internal staff that are, you know, their job is to place people. So they're going to look for these types of keywords. So sometimes people put a lot of good stuff at the very end of their resume and nobody sees it there because again, they're scanning. They're not really looking at every single word and every single page, but they're looking for stuff to jump out at them. And again, that's why those dollars, numbers, and percentages are really good because that will help their eyes stop. Because again, they've done research and people don't spend very much time on the resume because they're trying to, again, weed out. If they don't see what they're looking for or it's hard or confusing, they're going to move on to the next one. So again, a lot of people forget about languages. They say nobody can hire, nobody's hiring me, but then they don't have that on their resume. So again, that could be a keyword that's really important, and that is a very desirable skill in many types of positions. So if you do have those skills, you want to make sure you're highlighting those. So these are some identification sites, and again, you'll have a copy of this presentation so that you can go ahead and research some of this on your own. But there's government sites, and you might want to even look up certain occupations to make sure that you're using the right terminology, the right certifications, you're aware of what's available as far as where you can go in your job and your career path. And just really take, this is a good time of transition to learn and do some self-assessment so that you can go forward and be confident in knowing the direction you're going to go. So again, you can review these. And I'll keep moving here in the interest of time. But there are a lot of word clouds that you can create. And I'll show you an example of one on the next slide. But you can create word clouds by putting your resume, putting the job description, maybe the company, organization, website in. So you can see what types of words are coming up the most. They're going to show up and be the largest. And then there's some paid versions as well, or if you want to do trials, you just have to enter your email address. There's also Wordle, W-O-R-D-L-E, that's free. Resume Worded is another one. So there's quite a few, that you may want to just play around with and see what kind of information you get as far as the keywords, because maybe you don't have any of these keywords on your resume. That's not going to help you. So you want to definitely check that out. And here's an example. This was for a workforce development trainer. So the bigger the word, the more often it is used. You definitely do not want to do keyword stuffing or use white fonts. Sometimes people thought that they could get away with that, but these newer systems, they're designed to pick up on that. So you're going to be immediately removed from the candidate pool if you do those kinds of things. And if you listen to people that tell you that that's a good idea, you're getting bad advice. All right, so job ads. Just quickly, we talked about this in the prior presentation. You really want to deconstruct this, really understand what are they looking for? What are the employer's needs? Use those word clouds, find the keywords, see how the words are used, and then highlight the skills, the accomplishments. Sometimes it's just moving a couple bullets around where your format is going to help you. But if you're sending the same resume over and over, that's going to slow down your job search. You have to tailor it to the position. So you want to match those to the specific position, and every company's a little different, just like everybody's resume is a little different. You're going to have to work on making sure yours stands out. That's your job right now. So when you're looking at a job description, you could highlight the requirements. Jim talked about this a little bit, so here's a good example of it. And then what you can do is, make sure that you're picking up on all that in the resume review, or if you want to go out to one of these online tools and make sure that your resume, at least the percentage is increasing. Again, you never know what ATS system they're going to be using, but you want to give it your best shot. So again, we talk about this in depth in our workshops at WorkNet 2-Page. So the ATS friendly format, again, this is really important. And just a couple more slides here and we'll keep moving. But there's, a lot of different things that you can do to, but you want to make sure that you're working with these ATS systems and not against them. Definitely think about proofreading your resume. If you have a human that that's good at that, then I would suggest working with them and just having them review everything. After you've looked at it, you probably just don't even see the errors. But Grammarly is another tool that you can use. I've seen many typos on resumes, and you don't want to miss your first opportunity to make a good impression. That's something you can't always correct. And so when you're looking at the resume, usually what you want is the really good stuff at the top. Just like from the Titanic, they could only see the tip of that iceberg. There was a whole bunch of stuff underneath. But you want to make sure that that prime real estate is like the top third or the top half page. And you want to make sure that you've got all the good stuff up there, because they may not keep going. They're not going to read every resume letter for letter, word for word, sentence for sentence. So you want to think about your fonts. This is important because a lot of these fonts are, sometimes in these systems, they pull the words and the letters together. So you may create new words that they don't recognize, and you want to stay away from the fonts on the left, and you want to use the ones on the right. That's just a good tip, because we don't know what system you're going to be applying to and what capabilities or limitations but some of those letters might touch and create different words that you didn't intend. So here are just some good points on a friendly resume format for the ATS systems. But, if you're going to use a fresh Word document, that is your best start. Use the fonts we talked about at 11 or 12 point. If they're too small, again, it might not be read properly by these automated systems. You don't want to use graphics. You don't want to, avoid any tables, columns, text boxes, decorative lines, any open or hollow bullets or fancy bullets that you see. Sometimes these are just not read in the background of these computer systems. Again, every system's a little different. We've got more older conservative systems, and then you've got some of the newer systems which might be a little more flexible, but you have no idea out of the 500 plus that you might be applying to what their system has. So do not use templates. That is the worst idea, because again, there's code behind there, and a lot of people like to use templates because then they don't have to come up and reinvent the wheel, but it's not going to be good in the background. It might make your resume really wonky on the other side of the ATS where the employer can't read it right. So again, think about, just the headings, the bullets, don't have any headers or footers, no pictures. You don't need a picture on your resume. That's not a good look. You can do that on your LinkedIn profile. You can put your LinkedIn profile up at the top with an active link. And don't save it as a PDF and apply that way. If you can, I would use, a document. Word docs are the best. Some people only have Google Docs, but, again, make sure that it's going to be read on the other side, because I'm going to show you an example of what it looks like. Sometimes you can save it as a text document, which will take out all the formatting and everything. So again, there's lots of different things that you probably don't think about, but that's why we're here to help you try to understand what might be going on and going wrong in the background. But the PDFs are really a picture, and so unfortunately they might not be scanned correctly. And if you have an option and you can submit a document, that's going to be read better than a PDF. And then again, if you have columns, tables, some kind of rows, things like that, they don't parse well because the database fields that the ATS system is looking for, it's not going to see what you've got, and it's not going to pull those in correctly. Now, as far as the heading, you can use your name, but don't put any initials or certifications right after your name, because that will now be your last name. And Joan will be your first name, job seeker will be your middle name or middle initial, and then PMP is going to be your last name. So again, you got to be understanding how these systems are reading. And you don't have to put your full street address. In fact, I would avoid that, and I'll talk more about that in the job scams in just a minute. Because you don't want to give people too much information. There's a lot of information that's probably already been breached, unfortunately. So they don't need too much information to pull your information all together and create a profile on you. So we'll talk about that. But you want to make sure your Gmail is your best option as far as a professional. I see people that are in technology using AOL accounts. You know, sometimes you want to think about maybe upgrading to a Gmail account. So if you're in technology, that could be important because it's prominent. It's at the top of your resume. And so you don't want to have any crazy emails. You want to create like a really professional, just your name, your initial. Don't put dates of your birthday in there. Again, this is what the job scammers are hoping for, is that they just get a few pieces of information, maybe guessing a password, whatever. But you can personalize your LinkedIn URL. All you have to do is go into the job seeker settings on your account and you can change it. So again, there's lots of things you can do. We talk about more in depth on all of these topics. So I know it's a lot, but hopefully, you know, you want to just take a look at what you're doing, and maybe just a few simple changes might help you advance in the job search. So again, these, you know, generic resumes, definitely do not send out the same resume to hundreds of positions. You're going to have very low odds of getting responses. Even right now, when there's employers that are really considering lots of people, but chances are you're going to have much better odds if you respond with a detailed, tailored resume based on the job description. All right, so the last section here is just about resume components. You know, every resume is going to be a little different because everybody has a different journey in their career. And so, you know, again, some people have a lot of opinions. You might want to just gather information and then decide on your own, because guess what? Your name is at the top of the resume. So basically you want to think about, you know, what story do I want to tell? What do I want to highlight? What's important to the job descriptions that I'm applying for? And then you want to, you know, look at some profile summaries, whatever you want to call it. There's a lot of different ways you can set this up, but it's nice to give kind of just a very high level overview of who you are, what you can do. And again, these are another place where you can add keywords, and you could organize it with accomplishment statements with, you know, some very key points that are very important to that job that you're applying. You know, what's relevant to the job. And if there's a lot of stuff on your resume that isn't relevant to the job, take it off. It's just easier, because you don't want to confuse. If a human does read it, they're going to be like, well, I don't know why they're applying for this position. So again, think about the changes that you might make for each. And again, these are not very serious changes, just you want to tailor it to the right position and the right title of the job every time you send something out. So again, you could have different ways you want to call your summary, might be different things. Again, everybody's different. You have to be comfortable with how you want to do that, but think about what position are you applying for. Maybe it's a very similar position, but another company might be calling it something just slightly different. So again, use their job title, because guess what? That's most likely a keyword. All right, so let's just keep moving here. Again, these are just different examples. Sales management, they're using pipes, which are those straight up and down lines right here, and with a space in between. because you want to highlight these skills as best you can. I think I see the slide here. Anyway, there's so again, think about the skills that you're going to need to highlight. And, you know, some people want to talk in first person. I wouldn't recommend that on your resume. You want to use very concise. It's sort of like a weird form of business writing. So you really want to make it concise and summarize everything and make sure that you're using, you know, accomplishment statements, dollars, numbers, percents to highlight those accomplishments. So again, here are some different examples. Computer, technical skills. You know, you want to organize this information, because think about who's going to read this on the other end. They may not know anything about computers or technical skills, but they're trying to help in the HR arena, trying to determine, do you have the skills needed? And if you organize the information, it's going to be very helpful for people that are not as familiar. And if you are doing professional development, this is good. You know, you might take courses, you're currently enrolled. You can list it like that. If you're going towards a certification, but you haven't done it yet, but you've completed the training, you can highlight it that way. So don't eliminate things that you're doing in the meantime while you're looking for work. And once you're certified, definitely highlight that. All right, so let's keep moving. We're almost to the end here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. So people seem to have very creative ideas on how this works with the formatting, but you want to highlight the company first, and then the city, the state, the location, and then the dates. Perhaps you had several titles and several different jobs within one organization over X amount of years. Well, you want to highlight the total number of years right after the job position. And then, you know, you can see the results under each of those positions. Now, some people, you know, find they're applying for jobs and the titles just really are not really relevant, or maybe you worked at an organization and your title seemed a little different. So unfortunately, you know, you can't get around what your official title was, but in parentheses, you could put, you know, you were technically a career facilitator, but maybe you can also use the word workforce development trainer. So those might hit some of the keywords that they're looking for. Because you can say pretty much whatever you want on your resume. Now, I'm not advocating making stuff up, but you want to, you know, this is again, not a legal document. When you apply online and you sign those applications online, that is a legal document. So you do want to be truthful in your what you're highlighting as far as your work experience, and, you know, using good information that they can verify. Now, what these ATS systems can do, though, is that they can add up the years and they can show the use of, like, let's say you're using Excel in each job. So you definitely, maybe if that's a really strong part of the position, you want to showcase that you used Excel in each of those accomplishments and type the word Excel in there. Otherwise, they're not going to register that you have, let's say, 5 years experience when you've got 2 and maybe 3 years across 2 different positions. So again, you know, think about what they're looking for and make sure that those are highlighted. Now, for IT people, you know, again, these are just some tips. You might want to list the environment that you are operating in, because again, they might need somebody that has specific years of experience in specific computer and technical environments. So, you know, you can mention it in the skill section, you can mention it in the environment in each position, and you can use it in the accomplishment statement. So that's going to help you rank a little higher on the keyword list. So here's something just to think about. What are your accomplishments in previous jobs? What have you done? What are you proud of? You know, what are your successes that you used in your past work? And how could you assist this new company? Tell them, say, this is what I did. and here's how I can help you. That's really the best way to transition from what you did to what you want to do. Any words, you know, I see sometimes people just in conversation, we find out things just by talking to them. And it's really unfortunate that they don't have it on their resume, because it's sometimes really good stuff, but sometimes you don't think about it or you take it for granted. So what you always want to do is keep updating your resume. When you are working, you want to make sure you're highlighting these accomplishments and adding them to your resume as time goes on, because you forget. You're just showing up and doing your job, and you think, okay, they'll understand what I did, but not always. All right. So think about all these different ideas. And again, you'll have a download of this presentation. And then you can quantify, you know, how did I save money? How did I save time? How did I improve a process? Because in the end, that's saving the company money. You know, and we have people that we talk to, and as we start talking to them, we find out that they did all kinds of incredible stuff, but it's nowhere on their resume. And they don't have a story ready. So when they go to the interview, they're not tooting their horn. You've got to toot your own horn. And so many people do not feel comfortable about that. But guess what? You know, these are facts that the employer needs to know about you to make a good hiring decision. And if they don't know, they're going to pick somebody else. So, you know, be the one that stands out and showcase what you did. And then for education, this is the last slide here. You just want to make sure that you have it in the correct format. You want to highlight the most recent, highest degree first, and then you go down from there. If you did go to high school, you don't have to list that because that's assumed. If you do have other partial, you know, work towards degrees, you can highlight that. Some people are in process of getting a degree. Well, again, you could say anticipated date of, you know, graduation or completion, and put, you know, spring 2022 or whatever. It might be a moving target. Maybe you don't know exactly when you're going to finish, but definitely put it on there because you're working towards it. And then it's sometimes tricky with these formats. Like if you have an MBA or if you have a BS degree or a BA degree, I recommend spelling it out and using the abbreviation if you can do both, because sometimes people use MBA with no periods in between the letters. Some people use it, and again, you don't know what the keyword search is being set up and how they're setting it up. So sometimes it's better if you spell it out. So that's pretty much everything I have for resumes and creating a great resume for yourself. Are there any questions? Happy to answer them. Okay, so I see Angela asks, are your services provided free of charge to all job seekers, or are there certain qualifications for the services to be free? Great question. So everybody has an individual situation, so I can't say specifically who's going to be qualified until they do actually, you know, go forward with our process. So I'm going to put this in the chat right now. I think the chat is closed, but I'll go ahead. I think. So what we do is we encourage you, and I'll have the link on the next couple slides. Let me go ahead and move the slide forward so you can go to the link. So this is the link where you can go ahead and you can complete a short survey, and one of our navigators will contact you, learn about what you're looking for. If you are looking for training, you have skills that you'd like to improve so you could get a better job, or you know, have been out of the workforce, you're returning to the workforce, you want to get into something that you know will create a better financial situation for you and your family, great. That's what we're here to help you with. The We Owe a Grant, the Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act, is designed to help people, but everybody qualifies based on their situation. We always can provide career services or job seeker services. So some of the skills that you might want to learn about your job search to help you, that's available to everybody, but you do have to apply, and we'll guide you through those steps. So my first recommendation would be go to this link. You can download these presentations, and you can also complete that short survey. You can also go to our website, which is worknetdupage.org. And Shannon asks, how many jobs should be listed on your resume? You know, that depends. Again, there's, you know, everybody's got a different situation. You definitely only want to go back maybe 10, 15 years, because typically anything way beyond that is maybe not relevant, or the technology is no longer used. You know, time marches on. And I have all the resumes that I've ever, you know, with all the jobs I've ever done, just as something I can use as a template, because there might be skills that I could pull in from those jobs, but maybe past, you know, I always say stay in this century. If you start going out into the 90s and even the 80s, and we've seen people that have done that because they haven't had to look for a job. Good for them. They've been working for 30, you know, plus years. But at times you need to freshen up your resume and highlight only those skills and jobs that are relevant to that position that you're going towards. Now, if you have, you know, several different types of jobs that you've done, you may want a combination kind of hybrid resume where it's not just chronological, but it's a combination of transferable skills and chronological. And so again, we have, you know, a lot of expert career counselors on staff that can help you. And just going back to Angela's question, you know, like I said, the career services portion of the WIOA grant is available and free to everyone. To qualify for training, you know, you have to have the qualifications, and your eligibility has to be determined. And that's part of talking to a counselor, and they're going to find out more about your situation and what's available to you. All right. I think that's all the questions. If you do have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them. I'm just going to go back just quickly. We do have a lot of events that we host for the public, and that is going to be, the next one is on July 30th, and Jim is hosting that. Jim, do you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Okay, I will. July 30th is opportunities in manufacturing, specifically robotics. We have 3 employers that will be talking about their businesses, how they use robotics, how they are expanding, and the types of jobs they are looking for. And we do these career conversations on the second last Friday of the month. And when I talk with these employers, I know one is expanding for the 3rd time, I believe. And they all talk about it's not just the machinists that they need. They need administrative, they need IT, they need supply chain. So we do these so that you're not overlooking opportunities that are out there. So I'll be interviewing the 3 of them, or moderating the panel discussion. Thanks, Jennifer.
Thank you. So we've got a lot of great webinars that we've recorded, and the good news about COVID is that we have a nice library now that we've created, because before we were doing these all in person, and if you weren't there, you don't get to hear about it. But now we have recordings, and I just want to go back. There are some questions in the chat I just wanted to go back to real quick. Do you or Jim encourage people reaching out to you on LinkedIn? Yes, you know, we're happy to connect with our clients, or, you know, anybody in the community. That's fine. I'm happy to connect. The other question is, can you speak to the length of employment as it relates to how much to list? Should it go back past 10 years? Okay, so I think I did answer that question. A different person asked. And then I've read that HR people and ATS systems too hate the hybrid resumes. Well, it's possible that that's the best format for you, though. And there are ways that you can highlight or maybe minimize some gaps in your resume, or perhaps, you know, we had a woman recently who was re-entering the workforce after, you know, working at home with her kids, 3 kids. And now 18 years later, she wanted to go back to work. So her resume format was going to be a little different than just a straight chronological format, because they're going to say, wow, you haven't done anything for 18 years. But, she had other volunteer experience, so again, everybody has a custom situation, and you want to know as much as you can about the job search and how to best project yourself. And sometimes that does require, the dates, obviously, that's what sometimes the employers are looking for. But you want to definitely, if you are doing a career change or a reentry, that's where networking is going to come in great help to you. So you can't rely just on the ATS systems anyway, no matter who you are. But I would recommend, you definitely get out and do some informational interviews, talking to people. There's lots of good things that you can do. So
I think
hopefully
they're
that-
talking about the functional resume not being liked
Yeah,
by applicant tracking systems. The hybrid gives you the opportunity to highlight the skills. And Jennifer mentioned earlier, meet the requirements. They don't have time when they're reading it to really look into huge paragraphs on your resume. Show that you meet the requirements. Prime real estate, top third of your resume. That's all.
thanks, Jim. So let's see how we're doing on time. So it's about 11 o'clock. I'll just defer to the team there at Representative Lewis's office. I can certainly go ahead and talk about job scams, but we can also defer, because I know you have a time schedule here. The presentation is available and all the resources are at this link. So I know you do have a schedule, and I don't want to keep going if you want to keep going forward with your schedule.
Jennifer, is it possible to, kind of go through it quickly? I think it's important that those who might be taken advantage of by the professional scammers, know what's out there.
Sure. No, I'll go through it real quickly. It is important because every day we're hearing about people, that are getting different texts and emails and, just all kinds of crazy stuff. So I'll just take about 5 minutes and I'll quickly go through this. But again, I encourage you to download it, and please feel free to share this with anybody that you know, so you can educate your family, your friends, your community, because I've been doing job scam workshops since like 2017, and there's a lot of scams out there, but you want to learn about them. There's employment fraud, and you want to also protect your private information. And I think most of us are hearing about this, but unfortunately, they obviously are getting success because they keep on doing it. So these are nefarious, very structured, very highly complex, gangs of criminals. And unfortunately, they are winning right now, and we don't want them to, but we have a lot of things that we can help you just be aware of. Okay. But this is just about job scams. There's so many scams out there, but I'm just going to focus on the job scams. Unfortunately, you're vulnerable because you're in job search. You're putting yourself out there, you're applying, you're putting your information out there. And there's a lot of fear and uncertainty, obviously, a worldwide pandemic. I mean, this hasn't happened in our lifetime for most of us. So there's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear, and people are preying on that fear, and they go into high gear when this kind of stuff happens. And then last year, we also had the census, we had the COVID, stimulus payments. There was just all this trifecta of things that were happening, and people were looking for jobs on top of it. So you want to stay safe. And again, there's a lot of resources you can download. So AARP is free to use. You don't have to be a member, but they have a lot of great information about different types of scams. And look at all these different scams. I mean, it's ridiculous how many scams there are. So job scams, again, is really all I, focus on when I do this presentation. And we do have a recording of a recent time when I've done this, so you can certainly go to our website and watch the replay. But we do, want to protect you, but you do have, access to that. It's a free resource, aarp.org. And so part of, what you want to look at, there's like, all kinds of scams, but they cannot promise you a job. Nobody can promise you a job. You have to get your own jobs. They also might say, hey, you have to pay so I can help you. No, you never have to pay anybody to get you a job. We don't have any charges for any of the services that we do. We're managed by DuPage County, which manages this federal grant, the Workforce Innovation Act. Sometimes they're being imposters and they will try to project themselves as a legitimate agency. Don't fall for it. Verify who you're talking to. Because if you do, if you do put out any money, they're not going to pay you back. You're not going to be able to get your money back, and that's not good. Everybody needs their money. So again, they're going to use different techniques. People are very compliant sometimes because we've been trained to be, helpful, and we answer questions. But, some of these people are asking you things in the guise of getting a job. And then they want your social security, give me a copy of your driver's license, give me your bank account so we can direct deposit. Whoa, don't get too excited, because wait a minute. First, find out if it's legitimate. And again, if you're not familiar, or if they're using a very well-known company, but being an imposter, you don't know until you go and confirm it on your own. Make sure that you're confirming and verifying before you trust. But if you keep responding to these different calls and scams, they're going to put you on a list of suckers, and you don't want to be on that list because they'll just keep calling. So hopefully the robocalls are getting shut down. That's a whole nother story, but hopefully those are going to be reduced. But you're going to be asked for good information, that these are similar kinds of things that a scammer might ask you. So again, you have to be very careful, know who you're talking to. They might have looked up your resume. I can show a couple examples real quick of a job scam that one of my clients was almost entrapped in, and I hopefully protected him. But, be careful when you're uploading your resume, because you're giving them a lot of information about you, and that's all it takes. Sometimes you think you know people, or you don't know where you applied, and then, they're talking like they play a good game, so you have to be very careful. So again, sometimes too, they're getting information from your private accounts, your personal accounts on Facebook. It's like you're putting stuff up on a billboard on the highway. So just be conscious of what you're doing. I'm going on vacation. I see this on Nextdoor all the time. Yeah, great. Thank you. Why are you telling me this? Why are you telling me and 12,000 of my neighbors that you're going on vacation? Please don't do that. Then there's also scams, that you have to be aware of. And these are just, very common scams. I'll kind of skip over this. There's some really good information that I've also included in the presentation. But, again, don't believe everything you hear or read. You got to verify for yourself. And, again, urgency. They're trying to get you to do something fast. They're going to promise you, oh, you can work remote and make a ton of money. A lot of people want to work remote because they're afraid of the virus or whatever. Guess what? You have to verify who those companies are. But please don't give out your private personal information at any time until you know directly who you're dealing with. And unfortunately, it's becoming harder and harder to discern who that is. But I had a client, and he was actually responding to what looked like a legitimate ad on LinkedIn. And unfortunately, it was an imposter who had taken over a company's profile. It was a small company, and they weren't even aware of their LinkedIn profile being used this way. So he said, wow, Jennifer, I have an offer. Well, he was actually getting a request for an interview, but I found that the date on the actual email, it was on a holiday on a Sunday. And I'm sorry, most companies are not going to send you emails. And it was saying that he was getting this email on an Easter holiday, but the email said Monday. So I said, they're probably out of the country because their date stamp is coming up. So anyway, I should have probably been an investigative, journalist or something, but it was just too fishy. There's too many fishy things. So you want to really be careful. And if it's too good to be true. It probably is. So I'm going to skip down to, these are some of the examples that you can look at, but there's just a lot of red flags that you'll see. And this is the one I was talking about. It was just, you know, they're always wanting you urgently. That day, they're going to give you an interview and hire you. You know, that's unlikely. That does not happen. It takes forever, most companies, to hire people. So again, you want to really think about who you're dealing with. There's a lot of scams coming out of, you know, they look like a legitimate number. I'm sure you're aware of some of that. But if you do ever, you know, fall for something, don't feel bad. It happens to a lot of people. We don't always hear about it because they're ashamed. But you want to report it because that way they can help track down who these people are. But they're pretty wily, and you know, it's hard to get a handle on who they are because a lot of them are out of the country. And I don't even want to talk about the hundreds of millions of dollars that were spent by the unemployment offices of every state in our country that was, you know, there's been hacks by Equifax, Target over the years, and they have that information available to them. So, you know, my recommendation is keep an eye on your you know, your credit reports. Make sure you're checking those on a regular basis. Lock them down. If you're not about to buy a house or a car, just lock them all down. That's my advice from everybody. I don't know why we opted into all this stuff, but that's the only avenue you have to protect yourself. There's lots of different scams, just all kinds of stuff, but this is what they're trying to get you to act fast. You know, oh, we got to, you know, hire you today. We got to get you started. You know, wait a minute. What company is this? Go and verify. Go call them directly. Don't click on the links that they provide to you. There could be, you know, spamware or some kind of malware on there, and they're posing as legitimate companies. That's the hard part, and you already have enough on your plate trying to find a job, and now you got to deal with this. So I apologize in advance for all the frustration this might cause, but you know, no government agency is going to reach out to you and say, hey, you know, you need to contact us or send some gift cards. No agency is going to do that. And here's some more information on AARP. They have a fraud watch. You can just Google that, AARP Fraud Watch Network, and you can actually call them if you have any questions. You don't have to be a member of AARP. You don't have to be over 50 years old. You can be any age, and that will hopefully help you get some tips. So I think that's about it. Again, if you want to go to our website, worknet2page.org, I can certainly answer any quick questions. So there's two questions here. This one I think is about your resume or your job, but if you're applying for a job and you haven't done that job in several years, 10 or plus more years, is important to list that at the top. If you're wanting to change careers, again, everybody, this is from Michelle, everybody has a different situation. So, you know, that's a kind of a unique situation that you may want to highlight some more recent things. Maybe you've done some volunteer work, and you can certainly list those as unpaid positions, but you did do work there. So we could, you know, hopefully help you if you want to come in and fill out a survey, come on over, and we can try and help you with that. And then for those of us who do not answer phone calls from unknown numbers, is that a problem in getting a response from a job application? If so, how do we avoid that? Well, Terry, most legitimate companies are going to leave you a voicemail, you know, and if it's an unknown number or a strange number, you know, that's, everybody's getting those kind of calls. A lot of times they'll work with emails as well. So I would just say, you know, let it go to voicemail. And especially if you're driving or in transit or in a noisy environment, again, as Jim said, you know, sometimes that's where the power is in the person that's calling. Otherwise, you're going to be dealing with a lot of foolishness, and you just want to deal with the legitimate companies. And that's why you want to set up a specific, you know, Gmail preferably account, just so you have all your job search stuff going there. You can even set up a Google Voice account, which is a separate number, so then they're not calling your phone. It really just depends on how private you want to keep your information, because once you stop job searching, you're going to be successful. You're going to not want to have to deal with all those calls on a daily basis. I hope that answered both your questions. And if there's any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I definitely want to turn it back over to the staff here so they can talk to the employers. Thank you for letting me go over. I apologize, but we do have a lot of information, as you can see, and we're happy to help you.
That's excellent, Jennifer. Thank you very much for a very detailed presentation and answering some of the hows and whys of your resume, as well as those, protecting those who may get taken advantage of. So greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad I could help.
So, and now for those of you who are still with us, and maybe why you're here to begin with, we have 3 wonderful employers that have manufacturing operations in my district that have hundreds, if not close to 1,000 jobs available. Being the state rep, I'm fortunate to have, let's say, access to the people who are actually doing these jobs or doing the hiring process. The first company is Now Foods, and we have with us Michelle Canada, who is the VP of Human Resources. With Michelle is Jasmine Benavides, who is in charge of recruiting. We have with us from Cheese Merchants, Rebecca Mandra, who's our HR manager and recruiting coordinator. And from Greco & Sons, we have Joanna Zasandi, who is in charge of Director of Human Resources. I'll let each of these individuals share their background and company, but please know all 3 individuals mentioned and companies mentioned are looking for work. They have hundreds of jobs available. So Michelle, if you want to go first from Now Foods, and then we'll go Cheese Merchants and Greco & Sons.
Great. I'm going to call our presentation up. First of all, Jim and Jennifer, really great information this morning. So looking forward to getting a copy of those presentations, some really awesome information. So we're with Now Health Group, and we are in Bloomingdale and Roselle, and we're going to be highlighting a little bit about our company today so that you can get a taste and a flavor for it. If you want to flip to the next slide here. What we do is we actually provide values and products and service that help people live healthier lives. And we do that by manufacturing products that were founded by Elwood Richard in 1968 with the premise that natural is always better. We're a family-owned company, and we actually have 3 different divisions. And we do dietary supplements, we have food, sports nutrition, we do beauty and health products, we do essential oils. We're actually in 80 different countries. We have a division in Canada, and we distribute up there as well. And you may have even shopped in one of our stores in Fruitful Yield. We have natural food stores where we sell these products, and we're actually in some of the Caputos. If you've shopped in those grocery stores, we have a couple of aisles in some of the grocery stores there. We have received recognition for being a great place to work, and these awards are pretty important to us because they really come from our employees for 14 years in a row. And we just got news that in 2021, we were named the best and brightest to work for in the Chicagoland area for 14 years in a row. We haven't found out yet if we'll be a national winner in 2021 yet in the nation, but we've won that award for 8 years in a row. And we've also won with the Chicago Tribune being the top workplace. So these are really great awards because our employees are surveyed, and they're a combination of the programs and the benefits that we offer to our employees. So this is what our employees think about working for our company. Some of the perks and benefits that we offer, and I'm not going to highlight all of them, but We have medical and behavioral health services is really important right now with COVID. We offer free services right now for employees to get help with that. We have 2 different vision plans. We have wellness reimbursement. We have profit sharing and matches where a lot of companies at this time are taking that stuff away. We add to it. We do a quarterly bonus. And in fact, last year we gave $11,000 to every employee on top of their base pay, just because we were doing well and wanted to give back to our employees. We have a medical plan and a dental DMO, which is a very generous plan that helps with things like dental implants and those very expensive things that go along with your dental needs. We also give free drugs, and that's free legal drugs through a program called RX and Go that go right to your doorstep. So another thing, we're very pet friendly. We do pet insurance. And we were just talking about, scams. We offer identity theft insurance for our employees so that you can protect yourself at a discounted rate. We also believe in wellness for our employees. So we offer free to our employees a program through Livongo, which is helping people manage type 1, type 2 diabetes and hypertension. So we offer those things as well. And something unique to us that we do in Bloomingdale is we have honeybees on our site too. We believe in giving to our community. And if you know much about our honeybees being, in trouble, you can come on our site and we actually have a queen bee that survived the winter, and then we give that honey back to our employees. So that's kind of something unique about our company. Now, we have a lot of openings within our company. We have a distribution center in Roselle. These are just a few of the positions. We have picker packers. You can see the rates. We have stockers, but on the left side here and a new building that we're setting up at 391, we have a lot of openings. We're setting up a brand new building at 391 Glen Ellen Road, right off of Army Trail, receiving warehouse production, changeover run operators. Some of these roles will train you, and these are just some of them. We also have quality positions. I'm going to be hiring an HR manager for that 391 building. There's going to be quality positions. I've just highlighted a few of them on this presentation just so that you can get a flavor. There's 400 positions. We have lots of work. We have shift differentials for people that may want to work a second job and a family. So if you are looking for work, you check us out. We have lots of opportunities for you to come and find out. We have walk-in Wednesdays. Today, as an example, you can just walk into Roselle and you can walk into our 395 Glen Ellen building and have a interview right on the spot. So that's taking place right now as I'm speaking. So we're trying to do very unique things to get people excited about our company and back to work. So just a couple of things. And then this next thing is just gonna take a couple of minutes. I can tell you all about our company, but I'm just gonna indulge me for a moment. We're gonna take just 2 or 3 minutes, look at our company with this real quick video. Hi, I'm Michelle Canada Holden. I'm the Vice President of HR for Now Health Group. Today, we want you to take a look at our company and listen to what our employees have to say about working for Now Health Group.
I think after 15 years and I'm still happy walking in the door every day is because I still enjoy coming to my job. I like the people here. I believe in what we do, and it's a safe and happy environment.
I'm Jim Emmy. I'm Chief Executive Officer of Now Health Group. I've been with the company for over 25 years. I think Now is a great company to work for, primarily because of our values. We've got a great mission to help people live healthier lives. But we also have great core values in putting people first.
Everyone at Now is so friendly and welcoming. You just, before you know it, you bond with people from all different departments. You build many relationships, strong ones, and eventually everyone becomes family.
Some of the best benefits that Now Food offers is definitely the benefits package, the medical, dental. They truly make it very competitive, and it truly empowers us to lead healthier lives.
The attributes of a successful participant in the Now Health Group team. Really, first and foremost, somebody who aligns with our culture and values. Our cultures of the honesty, integrity, and respect.
Culture is very unique. I think they require us to have a different skill set than most places do, and they challenge us to lead differently than most places do.
The reality of it is here and now, each and every person who is a part of our company is a leader in their own way, shape, or form.
When I first started, my role was brand new to the company. And so for me, it was really about having the freedom and the flexibility to learn new things, but explore new opportunities, sort of in some ways maybe push the boundaries a little bit and what we were doing in the digital space. And so for me, that's been really important. It's kept me engaged and excited to come to work every day.
We are a company in which one could have multiple paths with their career. You may start out in one department, but there are opportunities where you can jump to another function and be taught that as well. We do try to hire from within when we can, and not every company does that today. With our family ownership, and we do operate to do the right things for the right reasons, makes Now a secure company as well. For example, in our history, we've never had a layoff at any location. That doesn't mean to say it'll never happen, but as we all work together, we can continue to grow our company without limit. And that provides security, that provides great benefits.
They offer like quarterly bonus, which is really good. And at the end of the year, we have the surprise bonus for Christmas. So that's another thing, motivate employees and all they know how to recognize people here. So that's one of the things I'm happy here in Naples.
I'm always excited. I believe that I can make a really good contribution to this company. So I come in here enthusiastic every day. They ask me, where do I get the energy? I'm really invested in this brand that can change people's lives.
We look forward to the opportunities of meeting new people who can help make our team a better.
So if you would like to find out how and what openings we have, nowfoods.com/career, or you can email a resume to Carissa. She's one of our recruiters, and we will have all of our positions posted there, making it very easy for you to find out how to find work with us. So we're hoping that you'll listen to either the replay, or if you're participating live today, come check us out. We've got lots of jobs, and we'll be happy to talk with you more about us. Thank you. Are there any questions that we may be able to answer for you?
I don't see any questions, Michelle, but thank you very much for giving us an overview of Now Foods, and maybe we could even do a spiff. Anyone who emails you, they might get the resume looked at and get a call back if they're paying attention.
For sure.
Let's see. We do have one. Are you from Dan? Are you looking for anyone to help recruit?
Email us. We're looking for all kinds of help.
All right, Dan, you saw that email. We got the spiff going on. Email them, and I'm sure Michelle will look at your resume for sure. So, okay, next up, we do have another wonderful company. They're on the western side of the district. We have Rebecca from Cheese Merchants. Rebecca, are you with us?
I am with you today. It looks like I can't start my video. It's saying I was blocked.
Okay, it looks like we're getting a little technical help.
Rebecca, you should be able to share your screen now.
It's not letting me share my camera, so I'm just gonna speak to you guys and let's keep this going because I know we're running against the schedule here. So I am Rebecca Mandra. I am the HR manager at Cheese Merchants of America. We are located in Bartlett. We have a second location in West Chicago. As our name implies, we import and process and age many different kinds of fine, delicious cheeses. We also are looking for a lot of employees. We have positions all the way from general labor to sales, merchandising, all sorts of positions open. Our starting salary is $16 an hour for general labor. We have shift differential, we have sign-on bonuses and retention bonuses, all those that are available to all employees. You can see all of our career listings at cheesemerchants.com/careers, or you can send an email to Thelma Torres at cheesemerchants.com. We do have over 100 jobs open right now. We're hiring immediately. We are growing. We have a very automated work situation. So even our like our warehouse jobs, we have the best, newest equipment. So we would love you to join our organization and definitely send a resume over and we will get back to you.
Thank you very much, Rebecca. Is there questions out there? Okay. With that, and feel free if you're out there, put in questions and we can get them to any of the employers. But closing us out is Joanna from Greco & Sons, which is another wonderful company located in the district. Joanna, are you with us?
I sure am.
All right.
I am also having trouble sharing my screen. It also states that I'm blocked. I don't know if somebody can give me permission.
Joanna, you should be able to share your screen now.
Okay, perfect. There we go.
There's Joanna.
There we go. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Yes, you can. Okay, wonderful. So I am the Human Resources Director here at Greco & Sons. I don't know if anybody's familiar with our organization, but we actually manufacture Italian sausage here in-house in our Bartlett facility. But what we primarily do is distribute a full line of premium quality products to restaurants, pizzerias, grocery stores, country clubs, and even in some areas, schools as well. We operate out of 10 distribution centers across 22 different geographies across the country. We have 2 locations here in the state of Illinois. We have a location in the city of Chicago and a location in Bartlett, actually right down the street from where Rebecca is at Cheese Merchants. So again, we have quite a few openings between all of our centers. I think between all our centers combined, we have just about 200 openings. Specifically here in Bartlett, we're looking for CDL drivers. So if you know any CDL drivers interested, production employees, third shift order selectors, warehouse associates, but we're also looking for customer service reps. And we have various openings within our sales force at many different centers as well. So I would highly recommend if anybody's looking, to start in a growing company that is national, that is looking to grow nationally, to absolutely come and apply. So you can apply in person. You can send me an email. I have my email on the screen, or just give me a phone call to my direct line and we can set you up with an interview and walk you through all of our openings. I will share also on my screen just a few photos of what it looks like to work at Greco & Sons. Safety is our highest priority, obviously, with COVID this last year. we created this Greco's Heroes presentation for our employees, because truly we never worked from home, right? So we were here day in and day out, ensuring that we were providing service to to our communities, right? Our primary product that we sell is food, right? So everybody needed to eat during COVID, and so we never stopped, we never skipped a beat, but we obviously made sure that we put in the proper protocols. We separated different departments that were kind of closer together to create more space between employees, implemented a lot of different safety measures and temperature screening. And truly our employees are the heart and soul of our organization. So yes, I would highly recommend anybody interested in either warehouse positions, CDL driver roles, and or office or clerical positions, or even sales, to give us a shout and see if we might be a good fit for you. Thank you so much. Does anybody have any questions for me?
That is awesome, Joanna. We're getting some questions in here. If I could real quickly have each one of the employers restate their contact information. We're getting some questions about how to contact you. So if you, Joanna, if you could just state that, because some people could not see it on the screen.
Sure. So my email address is actually my first initial of my first name, followed by my last name, and that's at grecoandsons.com. My direct line is the 815 number, 815-736-2112.
So that's JZASADNY?
That is correct.
Okay, at grecofoods.com.
Grecoandsons.com, yeah.
Greco and Sons, okay. And Michelle, could you restate yours if you're still on with us?
Yes. Hi there. We're still here. This is Jasmine, and
Okay.
you can reach us at, my email is Jasmine, JASMIN dot, my last name Benavides, BEN, AV as in Victor, IDES, at nowfoods.com. And my direct line is 630-545-9098 at extension 2143.
Thank you. And Rebecca, can you restate yours?
Sure. My email is RMANDRA, my last name, at cheesemerchants.com. My direct phone number would be area code 630-580-0367. Another option to get your resume to us is to send it directly to our recruiter, and her email is Torres, TORRES, at cheesemerchants.com.
Excellent, excellent. Well, for those of you who are still with us, as you can see, these are three great employers in the district that have hundreds of jobs available. We had two excellent presenters. Reach out to them. There's a tremendous amount of resources and opportunity within 5 minutes of where we live here in the 45th district. With that, if I may ask my team, would we like to conclude, or if there's any other questions, happy to take them. Okay. Seeing no questions, I think at this point in time, thank you for being here with us. I'm State Representative Seth Lewis. Myself, as well as my team, is here to help anyone with any questions, and we hope this has been a beneficial use of your time. And for those of you out there looking for work, good luck. There's lots of opportunity, and wish you great success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You.
Thank you, everyone.